What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Brain Waves. I want to talk to you all about something that is currently affecting everyone that we know, at least here in the United States, and it will also have a global impact. There are global implications. What are we referring to? We are referring to the recent layoffs with a lot of major companies. And originally, these companies were thought of only being tech companies. But now you're having companies that are not just technology-based companies. You're having shipping companies. We even have layoffs in the airlines. So we're just now entering February of 2024, and this list will only continue to grow. All right. For those of you that are here and you are new, I kindly ask that you subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit that notification bell so you know when I release new content. Make sure you get the likes up. Please share this video as well as all of my videos that I have up on my channel. I appreciate your support with that. And also, I'm a life coach, so I can talk to you, your friends, your family, coworkers, neighbors, you name it, spouses, it doesn't matter, whoever it is. If it's not for you, I can speak to them via video chat, video recordings, meaning you or them can send me questions and I can send video answer responses. We can also talk on the phone as well as in person in the local Atlanta, Georgia area. So with that being said, what I want to do is bring up a couple of videos that we need to see, okay? This is a serious thing here, a very serious thing, and I think you all need to truly understand the implications of this, because even if you're not employed by one of these companies, this has an impact. It has an impact to industries. It sets industry trends. So if one company's doing it to save or as a cost-saving measure or whatever their reasoning for it, that could permeate into other particular companies in that industry. So this is something we need to pay attention to, and a lot is changing in 2024, okay? So what I want to do is we're going to kind of bounce around here, all right? I'm going to show you all several different videos, okay? We're going to start with this video first. Give me 1 second to get this on the screen. And I tell you, this is just absolutely insane with what's about to take place, okay? So let's take a look at this. I tell you, man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. This stuff is just, I don't know what else to say, all right? So let's go ahead and glance at this. I'm gonna go ahead and make it full screen so you all can actually see what's going on. This is absolutely crazy, but let's take a listen. All right, let's back it up a pinch. Here we go.
In tech today, it's two fintech companies, Block and PayPal. Let's start with Block. A source familiar with what's going on there telling me that these layoffs were announced in November. They're starting to take place across the company today. Jack Dorsey, the CEO and founder, announcing this in a note to staffers. It comes after Tidal, the music streaming service owned by Block, also recently went through some of these same job reductions. Block laid the...
Okay, so y'all remember Tidal, right? Okay, who remembers Tidal? Y'all remember Tidal, the streaming company? It was a big raise with Jay-Z and the higher quality sound files that you could have access to. Well, here we go. This is going on, and I tell you, man, this is just crazy because this is only the tip of the iceberg that we're currently experiencing, okay? This is only the tip of the iceberg, but let's continue.
This out and this goal of capping employees at 12,000 people by the end of this year, that was shared in the Q3 earnings call. So it was... Okay, so they want to cap employees at 12,000 by the end of the year. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. Let's... Forecasted by the company, the size of Block at the time was 13,000 people at the end of that quarter, so it's about 1,000 people. And then over at PayPal, we are hearing a similar story today. The Information first reporting this, but CNBC has now reviewed multiple LinkedIn posts from people who say they worked at PayPal and have gotten word and noticed today that they are being let go. It comes as the company's new CEO, Alex Chriss, is on this cost-cutting mission. He talked a lot about focusing more on the core products like checkout. He laid that out last week. CEO said they need to get leaner. They need to get that cost basis in line. PayPal announced this 7% reduction almost exactly a year ago. At the time, it was 2,000 jobs. So it is the latest from both companies in fintech, but it does add to this growing list of tech job cuts everywhere from Amazon to Meta to Google and now hitting the payment sector. But stocks up slightly here. Dom, back over to you.
Now, isn't this crazy that the stock market is actually up with news of cuts? Of course, the stock market's going to be up. All they're hearing, the shareholders are just hearing, hey, job layoffs. So the companies are leaner. They're going to save expenses, less payroll, obviously less health insurance, less benefits, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just more profits for them. That's all they hear and all they see. So of course the stock market is up. So while the stock market is up, some of you and your pay is down or will be down or could potentially be down if you or anyone you know is employed by any of these companies. Now, this is just one company, okay? So we're going to switch gears. All right. I'm telling you, y'all, a lot is going on this year. You look at all the things that took place in January. Here we are in February. And all of this is just compounding. There was already mention of this, and now it's just increasing and increasing and increasing, okay? So what I want to do is, we heard about some tech companies, right? Let's switch gears real quick, because this isn't a tech company, and they're having layoffs. What company am I referring to? Let's go ahead and take a watch and a listen, okay? Make sure y'all get the likes up, because I tell you, this stuff is crazy. Let's go.
Airlines is overhauling its customer service. American Airlines is overhauling its customer service department, laying off more than 650 workers.
Many of those people laid off live and work in North Texas. Fox 4's Alex Boyer has the details tonight. Alex.
Hey guys, American Airlines says it is cutting more than 300 non-union customer service jobs right here in DFW. American says it's really about streamlining the customer service process when it comes to canceled flights and lost luggage. But a travel expert I talked to says the traveling public should be skeptical about the move. And lost luggage, but a travel expert I talked to says the traveling public should be skeptical about the move. And lost luggage, but a travel expert I talked to says the traveling public should be skeptical about the move.
And what I want to say is that point right there. We should definitely be skeptical about what's going on, because there's a bigger situation and a series of events, you could say series of unfortunate events that are taking place here. A lot is compounding, as I mentioned earlier, and a lot is lining up to take place. And what's going to happen is a lot of people are not going to see this coming, and then boom. This expert says to be skeptical about these changes, right? First, we had the tech industry. Now we're having the travel industry. We already had the shipping industry, UPS, Amazon as well. And isn't this ironic that companies like Amazon, for instance, was one of the many companies that say, hey, we need employees to come back into the office, for example, right? It may not just be limited to, I'm giving you an example. A lot of these companies are like, come back into the office. Now, as soon as they come back into the office, they're getting pink slips. Couldn't we have saved costs there? Couldn't there have been a better way to go about this? Isn't this ironic? You start incurring the travel expenses as an employee again, because now you have to go back into the office, et cetera, et cetera. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then all of a sudden you get a pink slip. Let's continue. Let's listen to what is going on here with American Airlines, because I want to show you something in just a second that is going to give some of you pause. Let's go.
With airline travel back to pre-pandemic levels, millions of people are once again passing through airports nationwide. That makes the timing for American Airlines' announcement a little unusual. The Fort Worth-based company will lay off more than 650 workers as it overhauls its customer service department.
Now, notice how they said the timing with this layoff is unusual. And obviously, we're going to be given a story. It's always some statement. In an effort to improve our operations, in an effort to make us a better company, in an effort to do whatever it is that we say, it comes at the expense of many people's jobs, right? I told y'all a lot of stuff is going to change. A lot of stuff is going to be revealed. We had stuff come out about celebrities. We had stuff come out about individual people. And now what we're seeing is stuff is coming out about these companies, right? There's a deeper layer to this. I know some people say, hey, wait, brainwaves, you're going too far. It's too deep. I'm trying to give y'all a heads up. But be my guest to sit back and wait until all the information is laid out on the table. Oftentimes, it's too late to make a move or make changes when it gets to that point. Let's continue.
If we don't have them around, I think it'll be more inconvenient.
The airline says more than 300 of those workers are in Dallas-Fort Worth.
After 3 years of record profits at American Airlines has decided to lay off 3 work groups at our company.
Deborah Johnson is the president of CWA Local 6001, which represents front-facing passenger service employees like ticket and gate agents at American. The union does not represent the customer service employees being laid off, but Johnson knows many of them.
The real big loser in this is our passengers, because this work is going to be outsourced.
American did not confirm.
So isn't this ironic? They're laying off the customer service employees here in America. Then they're going to outsource the customer service department to a bunch of foreigners, which actually hurts our dollars, all in all. But in terms of the company, if they employ services in other countries, they most likely will probably get some type of tax cut, which will save them money, which is why you see the stock market rallying and rising and going up on this information. Let's continue.
That, but the airline does say it is streamlining the way it handles passenger complaints about lost luggage and canceled flights. So instead of several teams to address various problems, they'll create one new service team. In the most recent earnings call, the airline's CFO described some of the planning, saying, quote, "We have spent the last 18 months sizing the opportunity and developing plans to re-engineer our business to be more productive while improving the customer and team member experience."
Okay, so pay attention to the message here on the screen. Over the last 18 months, they've been planning this. So for those of you that think this is just some random reaction to the current state of affairs, they had these plans already in the works. And I'm going to show you something, because you need to remember this whole month thing. I want y'all to pay attention to something that's coming up. Okay? I just want y'all to pay attention to something that's coming up, because this is absolutely crazy. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. All right, let's go.
End quote.
So I've been writing viewfromthewing.com for 22 years. It began out of being a very frequent business traveler.
Expert Gary Leff says, in theory, this could make things easier for customers dealing with multiple problems, as they would have a single point of contact. But he added that customers should be skeptical about the consolidation of multiple teams into one. At a time, passengers routinely complain about already long customer service wait times.
Okay, so do you see what that means? Okay, this means that when you're standing in the line, they're already complaining to customer service. This means more travel delays, which also results in inefficiency. Yet they say that this is making things more efficient, because then customers are not going to have anyone to talk to and complain, right? To get assistance, to get some type of help, which creates more issues. This has more agitated customers. It just creates more and more problems. But you know, after all, none of them are actually sitting out in the field. They're sitting up in their corporate office, sipping their tea. Let's continue.
At a time, passengers routinely complain about already long customer service wait times.
They're reducing staffing at a time when we've certainly seen agents who are facing mandatory overtime, because there has been, such a workload for them to get through.
Now, how are you going to have mandatory overtime, but yet you're reducing? Does somebody see anything wrong with this? Mandatory overtime. But now all of a sudden you don't need the whole, you're just going to get rid of all the people and just have one team. Something don't sound right here. Sounds like another agenda at play. And I'm going to show you some more information in just a second that is essentially going to be the same format with most of these companies. Now, they may not release this information to us publicly, but I'm just giving you a heads up. This is the pattern that they're all doing. Rinse and repeat. You don't think these CEOs talk to each other? You don't think these CEOs move in the same circle? You don't think these CEOs and CFOs and all these board members are running in the same circles? I mean, come on, y'all need to wake up and smell the coffee, but let's continue.
And so it doesn't strike me that the reason for the layoffs is because of better customer service.
And Deborah Johnson tells me that those layoffs will go into effect on March 31st. Now, the airline does say that the laid off workers will be the ones to have the first chance at the 135 jobs that will ultimately form this new team. I reached out to American Airlines for further comment or a statement, but have not yet heard back.
Of course, we're not going to hear back, right? Of course, you're not going to hear back. I said, all these big companies, come back into the office so we can give you a pink slip. Y'all need to really think about this. Now, what we just saw was American Airlines, right? Now, what I want to show you is they talked about how this had been in plan for 18 months, right? I showed y'all that earlier. This had already been in plan. And so what I want to show you now is something from the actual airline itself, the CEO of the airlines, come on and speak about this. All right. So let's get this on the screen because this is absolutely crazy, y'all, that this is even going on. Make sure y'all get the likes up. Make sure y'all hit the PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. I don't care if it's $1, $5, $1 million. Every amount is greatly appreciated. And it goes right back into the work that you see before you. All right. But anyway, let's get back with this on the screen. Let's go.
Robert Isom from American Airlines CEO joining us here at their headquarters in Fort Worth. Let's talk about not only the third quarter, but also when you look into the fourth quarter here.
Okay, so let me just give you a heads up on what's going on. This is the CEO of American Airlines. We just saw American Airlines laid off people with the customer service, right? Okay, what this is that they're talking about the third quarter of 2023 and then the fourth quarter of 2023. Obviously, 2023 has come and went. It's no longer here, but this is the time frame that they're talking about. I just wanted to chime that in. Let's go.
Quarters in Fort Worth. Let's talk about not only the third quarter, but also when you look into the fourth quarter here. And what you're seeing right now, despite this concern about airline demand, you don't see it in terms of the travel demand and the portfolio out there, right?
Right. Well, Phil, the world's got a very short-term focus right now, and we're in a business that we have to plan and work for the long run. And when I step back and take...
Now, right off the bat, you heard what he said. They have to plan and work for the long run. I want y'all to pay attention to what was said. They have to plan and work towards the long run. So what is the end game here? What is the end game with all of these CEOs, mind you, that are laying off? But just listen to what he's saying about last year, right? Right now it's showing October 18th, 2023. But let's look.
Take a look at the things that we said we were going to do. Return the airline to reliability, profitability, and then pay down debt and strengthen our balance sheet. We've done all of those things. American's been the most reliable airline, certainly over the last year. In terms of profitability, 6 consecutive quarters. And now, you know, in terms of debt, we've actually paid down almost $11 billion on our way to even more. So as I take a look out into the future, I see American positioned very strongly. I want to give a shout out to our team for really putting together these fantastic results. And as we look into the future, look, it's a rocky time. But that said, I see demand, especially as we approach the holidays, very strong.
The booking trends for the holidays, what are you seeing?
Oh, we're booked stronger than we were at the same time last year. Now we have to deal with yields as well, but overall, I feel really good about where demand is, not just now. People want to connect, people want to travel. And so as I take a look out into 2024, I see robust demand.
You just stated basically to the investor out.
Okay, he just said as he looks forward in 2024, he sees robust demand. Yet you've got layoffs already taking place. And mind you, how do we know with these layoffs that there won't be another round of layoffs? That there won't be some other reason and justification? Like, folks, this is only the beginning. Listen to this question right here.
Out there, this is why American is performing.
Right.
But when we show people your chart, you're at an all-time low. You're below where you guys were in 2013 when you came public. I don't expect you to answer for the investor, but how do you convince the investor this is not the time to be negative on American?
Hey, I don't like where our stock price is. It's not acceptable, but it is because we actually have to get out there and tell our story and have people understand what's going on. This is a business that really needs to be looked at over a longer period of time. When you take a look at the last 12 months or go back to comparisons versus 2019, I'm very pleased with how we have recovered, how we've performed from a relative margin perspective. And as we go forward, we're entering a period where, look, American Airlines, we bought almost $30 billion worth of assets, aircraft, prior to the pandemic, right? We're getting to use those. Those are assets that will be used for the next 20 plus years. So others at the same time are taking a look at going the opposite direction. Americans very well positioned for the future.
In the quarter, you paid down about $1.5 billion in debt, but you're still highly leveraged relative to your competitors.
Right.
Is that a headwind in a high interest rate environment like this?
Well, right now, when I take a look at our overall portfolio of debt, about 75% of that is fixed, 25% is floating. That 75% was all put in place during a period of time when interest rates were actually, fairly favorable for financing.
Okay, so see what he said. The interest rates was favorable to financing, right? And that's when all this debt was put in place. When it's okay to get loans and do stuff, but now it's not a favorable environment. Why? Because we have inflation. Folks, y'all got to stop and smell the coffee and pay attention to what's going on. We have inflation, and as long as this inflation is here, companies are going to continue to institute layoffs in order to solve their debt problems. I mean, it's just the way the cookie crumbles, right? I don't know how else to tell y'all. This is only the beginning, and we're going to see more. And even if they do something with inflation, companies have already decided, hey, we'll do this in this quarter, that quarter. It's usually bad news to do layoffs during the holidays. So that's one of the things they decide against doing. We're going to take a look at this video, though. We're going to get this on the screen because I tell you, man, the train continues, and there's a bigger agenda, as I mentioned, going on. So let's take a listen here.
UPS announced Tuesday it will lay off 12,000 employees. That's about 2% of its workforce, according to figures from the Wall Street Journal. The Journal reports most of the layoffs will affect individuals in contract and management roles. UPS joins several high-profile companies that have recently announced layoffs, among them Xerox, Wayfair, and Amazon.
And mind you, you see Macy's, you see Universal Music Group, you see Google, eBay, BlackRock, Microsoft, Sports Illustrated, remember Amazon City, like you even have banks. Look at all of these different industries, y'all. This is what I'm trying to get you to understand. This is going to spread everywhere. This could even spread into content creation. Don't be surprised from your favorite content creators if you end up seeing less content from them. Right? As companies deal with these layoffs, this can impact industries in certain ways. Right? Things aren't actually getting better. They're actually, if anything, getting worse. Now, from the stock investment side of things, it seems like things are better. Oh, okay, this will take care of the problem. But like I said, there's a deeper issue going on. Let's continue.
Amazon and UPS are also among companies mandating office employees to return to in-person work. To understand these...
Now, didn't I just get finished saying that? They want you to come into the office to get laid off. What kind of sense does that make? To go to the office when they were already functioning all this time without people in the office. They could reduce operating costs, right? Because obviously the goal wasn't to have their employees come into those office spaces in order to increase productivity. Because if that were the case, then why are they laying people off? You know, you would say, oh, well, brainwaves, they wanted them to come back into the office so they could be more productive. Okay, if that's the case, then why are there layoffs like this? Mass layoffs. Doesn't make sense. The math ain't mathing. All right, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Let's go.
These events in the context of the labor market, we've asked Guy Berger to join us. He's the Director of Economic Research at Burning Glass Institute, which focuses on policy and research related to American workers.
Now make sure y'all
get
the
Guy,
likes
how should
up.
we think about these layoffs at these big companies, names people know, seems like big numbers, but the unemployment rate is 3.7%, which is low. How do we...
Now check this out. The unemployment rate, 3.7% is low. I want you to pay attention to what this gentleman is about to say, because nuggets are about to get dropped here. I really want y'all to take heed. I'm telling you, nuggets are about to get dropped. Y'all about to hear some real nuggets getting dropped. You understand? All right, so let's go, because I'm telling you, it's going down. Let's listen.
How should we think about these?
Well, John, I think the main thing to remember to start with is the U.S. economy is really big. The flows are enormous. 2023 was a year with the third lowest layoffs on record, and we still had 1.5 million layoffs a month, almost 20 million for the whole year. So within that context, these numbers alone are high profile, but they're small. And I think the question, which we haven't seen it materialize, is whether these sort of drip of high profile layoffs start adding up to a bigger wave of layoffs, but we don't see it yet.
Okay, we don't see it yet. Look at this. 3.7% unemployment rate, layoff rate 1%, job openings 9 million. But I mean, obviously there's jobs and no one wants to work, right? Everybody's sitting on their behind. Oh, I'm sorry, the only ones working are the men that make six figures, for all the ladies out there that are on this modern day woman tip, who want them to finance their whole life, and the ladies don't have any intent of giving them anything, right? That's basically the deal that's out here, right? That's the deal that's being offered on the table. It's another conversation for another day, but I'm just saying, apparently they're the only ones working, right? Taking these 9 million jobs. I guess all 9 million pay six figures, right? Anyway, let's continue.
And when the Federal Reserve started raising interest rates to slow economic activity, was the expectation that by now, a good while after that rate rising period began, that expectation would be where it is, or is it lower than people expected? Because there was some expectation it would go up as the economy cooled, right?
Yeah, I think we've been amazingly lucky that inflation's come down. It's basically in recent months where the Fed wants it in the long run. And at the same time, the impact on the unemployment rate has been very small to nearly negligible. Now, the risk is that we're sort of near a tipping point, and we haven't seen it yet, but in early this year, maybe it starts creeping up. But I'm really crossing my fingers that we get lucky, and instead of it being just a small positive impact on unemployment, we don't see any at all. Let's cross our fingers. That'd be amazing.
Let me ask you.
Now, mind you, you heard what he said. He's being hopeful, right? Back up and look at this chart real quick, okay? It starts from December 2022, right? And then it shows February 2023. This is when the interest rates were kind of going up and down or what have you, right? There was no hike in June. July went up another. Like each of those particular rate hikes that you see, it's not, for instance, starting with December of 2022, it's not that it's like 0.50%. This was the percentage of the rate hike on top of the interest rate. So each of these graphs here in green show you when the rate hikes were going up. So it got crazy in July. There hasn't been a hike. They're trying to see what's what. The Fed is monitoring everything. We may not know or see anything until March. I mean, we have to see. But the way that things are looking, this guy, Mr. Guy Berger, is being optimistic, but being realistic. We may not get this deal. It may not come out favorably. And if anything continues the way it is, these companies will definitely continue to reduce their operating costs by instituting more layoffs. Let's go.
I'm really crossing my fingers that we get lucky and, instead of it being just a small positive impact on the employer, we don't see any at all. Let's cross our fingers. That'd be amazing.
Let me ask you about these policies of having people come back to.
Okay, so check this out. Many of you had to come back into the office, right? This is why traffic's so crazy now.
In-person work is kind of a point of friction that I think tells us something about the labor market. You tell me, because when employees are hard to find, employers say, sure, work from home, do what you need, I want to keep you. But when jobs are hard to find, employees say, okay, I'll show up all day long because I may not be able to get another job or go somewhere else. Do you see these companies that are saying you got to come in and work full time as illustrative of anything in particular that's happening in the labor market?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that if you think about it, working from home, remote, hybrid work was this benefit that's highly desired by employees that became prevalent during the pandemic and stuck around afterwards. Employers and bosses seem more reluctant to hand it out, but it's part of this bargaining that's going on between workers and employers. And as the labor market's cooled somewhat, with hiring coming down, employers are becoming less generous offering that.
And check this out. Look at the text at the bottom. If y'all read the bottom here, it says major companies demand employees work in person. It says study. Mandates have no significant impact in valuation or profitability. So making employees come back into the office, as I was saying earlier, has no significant impact to the productivity. They'll tell you that you got to come back into the office so we can increase productivity. There's only so much work you can do while you're at home. You could be more productive. Our numbers could go up if you're in the office. And you would think that, hey, if you drink that Kool-Aid, maybe they have a point. I'm not an expert. I don't have a business degree. I don't know. I mean, I actually do. That's what I actually studied in college. And you would think that, okay, let me come into the office. This might actually be the case. But what people have actually found out is, like I was saying earlier, you get a pink slip. Why would they have people do that, right? That makes no sense. That's worse than you getting laid off and you're at home. I mean, it seems like it would be easier and less of an expense. It's been done before. It's not like layoffs have never taken place while people were out of the office. It takes place all the time. This is crazy, man. Let's continue. This is absolutely crazy. Let's go.
Employees are finding that it's harder for them to keep hold of that benefit, and employers, do have leverage to bring people back.
So, as we look ahead through this year, what trends are you looking at? What in terms of the employment market, the labor market? What are you looking for to tell us how it might be faring?
Well, on the optimistic side, we've seen hiring come down a lot. It's been fortunate we've seen it through the lens of hiring coming down, not layoffs picking up. But this is not a great time to be looking for a job.
Do y'all hear that?
And hopefully we see that stop. That to me will be a very hiring come down a lot. It's been fortunate we've seen it through the lens of hiring coming down, not layoffs picking up. But this is not a great time to be looking for a job. Hiring come down a lot. It's been fortunate we've seen it through the lens of hiring coming down, not layoffs picking up. But this is not a great time to be looking for a job.
This is not a great time to be looking for a job. But that's precisely what people are going to be doing, especially those that got laid off. Right? And then, like the American airline employees that he said, was it 669 or whatever the number, 670 employees got laid off, and like 135 of them in customer service or something like that. Out of the 300 in that particular area that got laid off, 135 of them will be first dibs to get their jobs back. I would like to say, what if any of those people weren't directly in customer service and they're not qualified versus another applicant? Are they going to be able to get a job, and are they going to get trained, or is someone else going to get hired in their spot that's already qualified and trained? This goes for all of the positions, mind you, with all the companies. Let's continue.
And hopefully we see that stop. That to me will be a very good sign that, in some sense, employers have right-sized their workforces, and we can start being really optimistic about the labor market and not just kind of holding on to our seats. And then on the flip side, I think if we start seeing that the layoffs are so far just mostly headlines and relatively small numbers, start moving the meter on aggregate layoffs, that will make me a little more worried that policymakers are falling behind the curve in terms of loosening the pressure they're putting on the labor market.
Do you see anything in these layoffs that are, because UPS, for example, big spike in people's using of shipping during the pandemic. Do you see in these layoffs anything that's particular to the recent period we've been in? Or is it pretty much kind of companies making the same kinds of business decisions about the future, about expansion, about contraction, that are kind of basic meat and potato business decisions?
It's a really interesting question. So the first thing is we are seeing, and I think this has been sort of a trend, is a lot of these layoffs are concentrated in sectors that, for a variety of reasons, really expanded a lot during the pandemic. I think that's, the tech sector stands out as one. Another one is the logistics sector, like UPS. The other thing that's interesting is...
Now, I want to comment. He said the sectors that expanded a lot during the pandemic, right? So think about the shipping companies, any delivery companies, like all these like ride share. I know that was big. A lot of people took ride share and they avoided maybe public transportation. People got their foods delivered, right? Uber Eats and all this stuff, DoorDash, as opposed to going directly into the stores and the restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. All the tech companies, all of this stuff is being impacted. Companies that experience significant growth during the pandemic, I'll say entertainment companies. If you notice that the streaming companies are even cutting back now with password sharing. And I saw this coming. Netflix did it. Okay, now you got some of the other ones who did it. Now Disney is doing it. All right, they're going to start, I believe it's starting March. I can't remember the exact day, but basically beginning March, that's when they're going to crack down on password sharing. So if you got Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN, you got the bundle and you got your family and your friends watching it, they're going to have to get their own because they're about to crack down on it. And so these are the types of companies that have benefited during the pandemic. This is what they're talking about, or the plandemic, as some of you call. So let's continue to listen to my guy right here, Mr. Guy Berger, continue to speak. Let's go.
I think that the term white collar recession gets thrown around way too loosely. I don't think there's any sort of recession, but one of the sectors of employment that's been generally the softest, where employment has come down, is people with advanced degrees. We've seen that cool off somewhat, unlike other categories like people with just bachelor's degrees or people with high school diplomas. So that story about managerial chains getting narrowed may reflect that, like, actually where a lot of the pressure is right now is among the highest paid, most likely to be employed, most credentialed workers, whereas other people that are sort of rank and file might not actually feel it that much.
Y'all gotta stop and think about this, man. This is serious. It's a serious, man. It's a serious, man. Other people may not feel it, but the people that, especially for the modern day woman, right? I just got to throw this in there because there's quite a few of them, like the majority. I need a man that's going to make 6 figures. Okay, well, they're laying off. So are you going to stay by this man when he get laid off? Or are you going to leave him because you only see him as a paycheck? Same thing, ladies. I got my own car. I'm INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means, Lil Boosie? You got your own car. You got your own crib, right? You don't need a man. What's going to happen if you're in those particular positions? You're in a managerial. You're in a master's or doctorate or extra certifications and projects types of leadership roles, right, with these companies. And you're one of the people that get laid off. Or maybe you did get laid off. How's this going to fare for you and your demands when it comes to your lifestyle and your choice in dating? It's a lot going on, y'all. There's a lot that y'all need to pay attention to. And so I'm bringing this to your attention so y'all can have a heads up. You need to make your moves. Okay. Y'all need to prepare for a lot of things. I don't think y'all are paying attention. Y'all need to pay attention to what's happening out here. Make plans accordingly. Reduce your debt if you can. If instead of taking your tax refund and blowing it on a bunch of stuff you don't need, maybe put it in some type of a protected account. Maybe they can bear interest, an interest-bearing account, or pay some bills off, save some, put some stuff up, find ways to reduce your costs, your operating expenses. You know, if you can drive less, or you're with your transportation or food or whatever, we need to find ways of implementing this now while you can, because your position might be one of the ones that may get laid off, may get reduced. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I'm trying to give you a heads up on this. And this is a concerted effort with a bigger agenda that they want to streamline things. And we got a little too comfortable after the pandemic, right? After everything opened back up and we back out and everybody's like, I got to get it. Okay, now that things are back open and back up and running, they got to trim the fat. They got to make some ebbs and some flows and shift things around and redo things. You know, after all, we in a new year, so we're going to implement some new things. And it's just so much going on. We got the debt ceiling issue with the U.S. government. We've got the global climate all crazy. Potential spats between. We got stuff going on between nations going at each other. Y'all know what I'm saying. I'm trying not to use the particular word. Okay, the W word, but y'all know what I'm talking about, the 3-letter W word. That rhymes with the animal boar, right? All this stuff is going on at one time. All this spiritual perversion, all of this stuff is just off the chain. But do not worry, because if you follow the Most High and you read about all these things that are told in the Bible, you're good to go, right? Take some time to see what's what for yourself. But hey, you can't say I didn't put this out here. You can't say no one told you. So that's what I'm going to say right now. We need to stay tuned because this is a constant evolving situation. This could very quickly get worse. All it takes is 1 or 2 decisions and then boom, this can escalate. And this can grow into an even bigger problem should they choose. And let me give you a heads up. Should things start into the recession word, right? The R word. Should things go into that direction, then that would allow them to implement other programs and routines, things that other content creators have talked about, as well as myself. I'm just telling you, a lot of things are lining up and shaping up, and we need to see the writing on the wall. Just be prepared. This is a heads up. So with that being said, thank you for watching, for listening. If you haven't done so already, make sure you get the likes up. Please subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, hit that PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. Support the work that I do here. I greatly appreciate it. Any amount is welcome. It does not matter. Okay. And the same thing goes. Check the description box out or go to brainwaves.com. If you or your family members, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, etc., your lovers, whoever it is, would like to book a life coaching appointment with me. Doesn't matter the subject, business. We could talk business. We could talk love, talk money. I've got thousands of people around the world, right? All types of people, all walks of life, all types of income brackets, celebrities, dignitaries, regular folks, you name it, I've done it, right? Again, video chat, video recording, meaning send me some questions. I'll send you a video recording with some answers. On the phone, in person, if you live in the Atlanta, Georgia area. With that being said, God bless y'all. Keep your head up. Stay tuned. I have more to drop. I just kind of want to let y'all know what's what. Because man, oh man, these lovely companies that we put all this time and all this energy into, could your company be next? Who knows, right? Who knows? So with that being said, I'm about to get out of here. Y'all know how I do. As I said again, God bless y'all. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Love y'all. Keep your head up. And until then, peace.